Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
Each week on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week we're playing Minecraft Dungeons, Final Fantasy XIV, the Baldesion Arsenal.
Nice.
And DJ has an update on Phantasy Star Online 2. Is it playable? Cut to the chase. Can you do it? Is it a thing?
Stay tuned to find out.
And he's also been playing a game with a very long title.
Oh, come on. That really? That's what we're going with?
That's the title of that game is
All Things Equal, I would prefer it if we were safe and lonely instead of together and afraid, but I cannot deny that it is hard.
Nice. Also known as A Solitary Spacecraft, but they did provide that in the ridiculous title, so I felt like we should put it out there.
Thanks for making me stumble through that. Yeah,
it's fine. We'll just change it in post.
That was that. What was it was the Fiona Apple album a few years ago that was very, very long. The entire front cover of the record was the title, and it was just filled with words. Just crazy run-on sentence. And the first three words are "when the pawn something 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 something," and it's all I remember at this point. And I like Fiona Apple; she makes good music, but I cannot commit the brain space to remembering her crazy 300-word thesis of an album title.
Artists. What do people call that album then?
When the Pawn, I think is what people call it. Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
The album formerly known as When the Pawn.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So what is this called? A single solitary spacecraft?
A solitary spacecraft.
See, I was trying to make it more words.
Right, you're just like, now you're addicted. Like, the title's too short.
It seems too short, yeah.
We'll get to it at the end. It's a very short game, but I thought it was worth mentioning on here.
Short game with a long title.
Yes, they had to. Yeah, I wonder how much time playing the game is taken up just by reading the title.
All right.
Before we get to that, though, so you want to know how The Last of Us 2 ends?
I do not.
Okay, well, I'm not going to tell you.
Good. I'm going to check our stats for this episode, DJ, and if we have the bulk of our listeners abandoning us at the 10-minute mark.
I'm not going to give anything away. I did just, after last week's discussion, I did hop onto some internet forum, click directly on the, The Last of Us 2 spoiler thread. Mm-hmm. Because there was that big leak, or multiple leaks, several weeks ago.
Right.
And I just decided, I'm going to get it over with. I'm going to find out what is going on with this game, save me $60 and 40 hours of anguish. And I did it. I read the whole thread.
Wow.
And some stuff happened in that game.
Okay. All right. Cool. Good.
I have to say, again, not giving anything away, and not even going to say, I hate when people are like, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you're not going to believe what happened. Like,
then they spoil it. Yeah,
can't believe Hugh dies at the end. I'm like, no, that's arguably worse than if you had just told me what happened. So not even going to do any of that, but just want to explain what this experience was like, because as far as I remember, I generally don't go out and just seek out spoilers for stuff.
Right.
But I like I said, I wanted to just save myself the anguish of playing this, because I don't think I would enjoy the bulk of this game at this point. I was like, so I was relieved to have read these spoilers, to have spoiled it for myself, knowing that I'm just like, okay, I really feel like I'm not going to be in it just to see what happens now. I was a little disappointed because I feel like, you don't get the impact of just being in the experience as the stuff is unfolding.
Sure.
But
that's why they call it a spoiler.
Yes, but kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But I feel like this was a good decision. I feel like I made the right choice for myself.
Good for you. Good. There's some quote from the director saying like the ending is not out there. Did what you read have an ending?
So I don't think so. I think there has been a lot of people kind of like, what's the word? Kind of guessing.
Sure.
Guessing what's going to happen. Extrapolating. Yeah. Yes, that's what I was going for. Based on some details that have come out. And I don't think there was anything that was like definitively how the game ends, though, which I thought was interesting. So there's been stuff that has been revealed about stuff in the middle of the game or elsewhere in the game, but just
Sure.
not the absolute final moments, which you know, if you played The Last of Us 1, that is well, I'm not going to say, I'm not even going to spoil The Last of Us 1.
Yeah,
but how about that ending?
It's good. It's a good clincher. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Yep.
So I guess there's still some stuff to be discovered, but I'll probably just be on the forum again at midnight or
Sure.
12 hours later, I guess, after people had their time with the game to figure out how they finally wrap it up.
Or I'll fill you in. So.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you'll tell me all about it. Anyway,
Well,
it feels like just a huge weight has been lifted.
You have the whole summer ahead of you now. You can do whatever you want with the next 3 months of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm happy for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. No, I've had the experience of sort of seeking out spoilers for things that I'm not emotionally invested in. I've done a little bit of that in the past with, the new Harry Potter thing that comes out, and I'm like,
oh really?
What's the hubbub at the end of this? And read up on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Or TV shows that I've given up on.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I forget how many years in I stopped, and we talked about this in our Discord actually just recently. I gave up on American Horror Story because I just could not subject myself to sitting through 12 more episodes of that show. But I still have a weird morbid curiosity to find out, like, okay, what are they doing? What's the hook this year? Because they mix it up a little bit every year, and it has been diminishing results, but. Yeah, I do still love reading the recaps and the, the people in the margins going, no, it's really good this year, guys. So, yeah, I've had that experience.
I feel like there must be some TV show that I've done that for that I just like couldn't stand anymore. And it's like, okay, just give me the Cliff's Notes on it.
Sure.
Can't remember off the top of my head, but sure, yeah, some of the shows just aren't worth my attention anymore.
No, but there's some like little thing in my brain that's sort of like, geez, I wonder what happens. I guess, or
well, you want that closure, I guess.
Sure, or is it as bad as I want to?
Oh yeah, that's also definitely a thing where it's like,
the satisfaction of knowing that I did the right thing by giving up on that.
Yeah, we'll just see how much of a train wreck this turned into.
Exactly. Yep. Bones. Have you ever seen the show Bones?
I have not. Did that end badly?
Good choice. I kind of liked it. First, like 2 or 3 seasons, it was kind of procedural. It was a scientist who works in the Smithsonian, and it's not really good with people. It was like House, essentially, but she was consulting with the FBI and helping to solve murders where bodies were in sort of, excessive states of decay. And she was this sort of bone and death expert, and it was kind of fascinating. But then you got into like seasons like 3 and 4, and there was romance, and it was a will they, won't they kind of thing, and maybe she'll have sex with the FBI guy, and I just did not care about any of that stuff anymore. But yeah, I've had that experience of the Bones subreddit rolling through that, going, oh, yep, it's as terrible as I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like I watched The Office for a long time and then just stopped. But then I went back and watched the finale when that happened. So it's like, how did they wrap all this up?
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I don't know how to follow it up. Last of Us 2. Just a couple weeks left at this point, right?
Yeah, it's coming. It's not... We're recording this on the 8th. It's about a little over a week away, I believe.
Yeah, well, I look forward to hearing all about it.
I don't, so
right, you're looking forward to playing it.
I look forward to experiencing it for myself. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so another quick thing.
Okay.
Before we talk about the new stuff, shiny new stuff this week, just another update on Phantasy Star Online 2.
Yeah.
Which I had kind of a turbulent experience with last week. Basically, I played it for a day. And then the next time I wanted to play it, it would not let me play it anymore. And I didn't want to spend the time fixing it. So I was just like, fine, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Giving up on this.
The experts fix it, and I'll come back and play the fixed version eventually.
Yeah. That was my plan. And then I realized, so there's this whole, there's a Discord, of course, for Phantasy Star Online 2. Which I guess I mentioned that last week too, because they're the ones with the myriad troubleshooting solutions none of which worked for me. But I was already in this Discord, so I was like poking around. And lo and behold, I mentioned the Phantasy Star community is doing a lot of work kind of on the side, completely independent from Sega, trying to fix this thing because so many people are having problems with it that they've actually created their own kind of standalone launcher for this game that not only it will go and download the game files off Sega or Microsoft servers or wherever they are and install all the updates and everything, but it will also just run all these different fixes to try and solve the problems that you get from the default Windows installation.
Wow.
So I discovered this and I was like, I given up on this thing, but now there is this whole tool designed specifically to fix this. They wouldn't even have this thing if it didn't work to some degree, so I guess it's worth a shot. I'll try one more time to fix this thing. So then I spent like half of a day last week just running this thing and running into more and more ridiculous problems. It was absurd.
Oh, no.
It was just, this is probably just my own stupid personality and weird tendencies, but it was like being in the worst escape room ever, where you're just, you're sitting there in the escape room or in front of a computer in this case, looking at this weird error message, and you're just like, this doesn't make any sense. I have no idea how to solve this. But then suddenly somebody drops this tool in front of you and has all these weird clues on how you might be able to fix it. So I'm just like, well, I'll just fix this one thing and see if that works. So I spent an hour doing that, and I got past the one, I solved that one error message, and I was like, oh, I did it. We're closer to getting this thing to work. And then a completely different error pops up, and I'm just like, this is unbelievable. This is just,
it's like escaping
this makes
an
any
escape
sense.
room into an escape room.
Yeah, you finally unlock the last door, and you're just like, oh no, it's another one.
It's another escape room. It's an escape house, DJ.
Yes, they should have told me that up front. So I spent like half a day fixing this, just running into more and more absurd error messages and problems, and going way deeper into my computer than I ever wanted to. But I was just like, oh, just one more thing. If I could just fix this one more problem, maybe that will be the final straw that gets this game to work.
Sure.
But no, that happened like 3 or 4 times. Even despite having this fancy tool that's supposed to fix these things, it fixed them very gradually.
It's very different opinions of what the word fixed means.
Right.
Yep.
Eventually I was able to actually get it up and running again, and since then I've been able to play it without any real issues, which I guess is good, because that was my goal in the first place. But again, this is not, this is all thanks to this kind of third-party community tool, and a lot of tinkering around in the Windows registry and downloading weird software off the internet.
But it doesn't sound like that third-party tool was like the magic bullet that took care of all your problems. It was a step in the right direction, but you still had to do a lot of work.
It wasn't quite as magical as I was hoping it would be. I was hoping I load it up, and it even has buttons on the launcher that says, they're essentially fix this problem, fix this other problem. So I was like, all right, if I just click on all these buttons that say fix it,
buttons, yeah,
it'll work. But no, it was it'll fix this, and then in the middle of doing that fix, it would pop open a terminal and give me a weird error message, and then I have to figure out why this was happening. Just fun Windows troubleshooting stuff, which is all terrible. So at this point, I'm glad I can run the game so I can spend a little more time with it. I still don't recommend that anyone who is faint of heart attempt to play this until they roll out an official fix. But for the truly dedicated, or just people who have nothing better to do, if you have a broken Phantasy Star Online 2 install, you can eventually get it working. Oh, what a nightmare.
It sounds terrible, yeah.
Or you could just buy an Xbox One. Apparently you just launch it on there and it works.
It just works.
And I considered it. I was just like, how much is Xbox One at this point?
They gotta be giving them away, right?
A couple $100. The Game Pass is looking pretty good. Maybe this is what I want. But I decided to spend 6 hours in front of the computer instead.
Ugh, gosh. That is unbearable.
It was the worst, but it was just one more step in this puzzle for me to solve, and then I will have done it. So I
have a friend who desperately wants me to play the new Call of Duty thing with him online.
Oh, the Battle Royale thing?
The Battle Royale thing, yeah. And I'm like, listen, play it on PS4. I will happily play with you on PS4. And he's like, no, you got to play on PC Master Race. And
no.
I'm like, I can't play PC games because they don't do the thing when I push the button. When I put a disc in the PS4, or click on the icon, or whatever, like the game plays, it starts. Sometimes I have to wait 3 hours to download a patch. That is part and parcel of the experience. But like, never does it crash. Never does it like stop for a mysterious reason, or start with no sound, or do something I don't understand. Unfortunately, every time I try to play anything on a PC, and I don't have a great PC, so that's probably part of my problem.
I was gonna say, like anytime I try and play Red Dead Redemption 2 on my Surface, doesn't work for some reason.
No, and this is not isolated to my Surface. I've had this issue on other computers prior in my life, that that when I push start, it doesn't necessarily mean game start. It sometimes means do weird things that Randy doesn't understand. Yeah,
no, I get it. I've been there.
Yep.
I just want to say, just to back up my PC gaming brethren, like the PC gaming experience is actually pretty good at this point. It's like it works 90% of the time. Where on consoles, I'd say it's actually not even 100%. I think consoles have come down a little bit in the last few years. So I'd say it's like 96 or 97% stuff works on consoles. But generally, it's pretty good. It's just like when
I'll take that 6%. I'm good with that.
Yeah. When you try and play stuff like this, though, which is, an 8-year-old Japanese PC game that they've loaded into the Windows Store, God knows how the Windows Store works, you're going to run into some issues, apparently.
Yeah. But it's not done then yet. I mean, why are you putting out a game that's not complete?
Yeah, well, that's a whole other issue. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Somebody should have left it in the toaster longer.
Yeah. But Call of Duty is cross-platform, isn't it? Why do you have to play on PC?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know that.
It is like 100 gigabytes to download, so you might have to buy a second PS4 to be able to play it.
Delete everything on my PS4 to be able to play it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew it was. I certainly didn't know it was cross-platform, but
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I'm not as invested as he is either, so he should have come prepared with that information.
You should. I'm pretty sure it's cross-platform. I think there are options for you to get matched with only people on your platform.
Yeah.
But if he plays on PC and you join him on PS4, he should be grateful to you, because that means you are just putting him into a lobby with a bunch of PS4 people playing on controller, which means he will just be able to like massacre everyone, just right?
Mop up, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So well, you're doing him a favor.
Currently texting my friend Matt.
Let's finish the show first, then you can get that going.
No, this is your fault, DJ. I have to go. Bye.
Okay, well, I guess we're talking about Phantasy Star some more.
No, you have to talk about Minecraft now.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's talk about Minecraft.
Do you have anything? I hijacked your Phantasy Star conversation. Are you good on that? Or anything else you want to throw out there?
I don't know if
this should
I'm
not be played by anyone. That's pretty much your bottom line.
I'd say it's still in an unplayable state until they release an official fix for it. But I just wanted to say it's not quite as hopeless as I painted it to be last week.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's great. Everything is great.
So I've been playing Minecraft Dungeons.
Tell me why I should start playing this right now.
It's fun. It is. I have no allegiance to anything Minecraft. I've probably logged less than an hour of actual gameplay in a sort of genuine Minecraft experience.
When did you play Minecraft?
It came out for the 3DS or the Vita?
What?
Maybe the Vita.
I think I actually played it on the Vita, or there was like a demo or something.
Yeah. Or maybe it was a, what do they call it? PS Plus game or something like that once upon a time. I don't know. I have a vague memory of playing Minecraft on a handheld and thinking, nope, not for me.
Did you get eaten by a zombie or something?
I don't know. I don't know if I lasted long enough to even see zombies. It just felt like doing anything was a lot of work.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
At least starting out. The beginning, like the first, I don't know how long, couple hours, I guess, the first couple hours of Minecraft, you are just like flailing around trying to get organized. If you don't know what to do, it's very very confusing.
Okay, well, that's probably the point at which I tapped out. So, so when Minecraft Dungeons was announced, it wasn't like I was sort of, oh, finally more Minecraft. This is not a Minecraft experience in the sense that I think maybe a lot of people were expecting or anticipating. You're not really building anything here. It is an already sort of pre-made world that you are kind of running around in. You pick a character, you design essentially a character at the beginning with some options. You try to find one that looks sort of kind of a little bit like you or the person you wish you were, and they're a little blocky and funky, and then you head into the game with them, and it is essentially from that point forward a dungeon crawler, in the sense of what games like Gauntlet or Diablo.
Nice. Yeah. That's my understanding of it.
So at no point do you get like the ability to craft things, at least in no point that I've experienced thus far. You do get a sort of a procession of kind of upgradable and enhanceable weapons. They call it enchanting. I think you can enchant your weapons over time, and but you're not actually sort of crafting them. You don't have to sort of like carve the dungeons out of rock or anything like that. They are pre-rendered, and yeah, so this sort of this base game is 9 dungeons with a lot of sort of like little hidden secrets and stuff like that, and is sort of designed to be kind of replayed with increasing difficulty, with better weapons, with you sort of leveling up, with you hopefully getting in with some friends because it does support kind of 4-player co-op, and taking on sort of increasingly more aggressive hordes of Minecraft monsters who want to kill you. Yeah, it's I think I'm sort of at the point where I probably cannot safely proceed any further without getting people in my party. I have gone through quite a few of the dungeons. I've actually gone back and replayed a couple of them because I've gotten cool weapons, or I remember sort of seeing out of the corner of my eye like a little secret path or a hidden corner or something else that I wanted to kind of explore, and then I kind of ended up getting off the path or accidentally finding the end, which is a bummer when that happens. I go back into it and lather, rinse, repeat, and sort of explore the path I didn't take. These these levels, these worlds are huge. They go on for a very, very long time. I remember thinking just in the first one that I played, which is kind of functions as a tutorial for how to kind of operate your weapons and how to attack some of the monsters and enemies that come at you, thinking, Jesus, this goes on for a very long time. These are huge levels that are a very, very long walk. And then it sort of loops you back to your home base, which I guess, and this is probably the most sort of Minecraft-like experience, is upgradable, can be developed over time. Little shopkeepers open up because they want to make money off of you and your party by selling you increased goods and weapons and things like that. It starts to sort of develop your home base, and you get to sort of make that a little bit bigger. You're not.
Do you actually have to? Oh, okay, never mind. That's my question.
You're not hammering away at it to make it big, but you sort of like come back after a mission and a new shopkeeper has moved in and wants to sell you, a cool bow and arrow that does a thing you've never seen before or stuff like that. So, so yeah, it's cool. It is definitely a interesting experience. I've not played a lot of games like this. I don't have a huge history of. I've never played Diablo. I vaguely recall playing Gauntlet on a Sega console a very long time ago.
Wait, are you talking about like Gauntlet Legends, like the 3D one or whatever it was? Not the super old school, like grid-based 8-bit Gauntlet.
No, probably not that.
Wow. Okay. I'm always amazed. You're like, oh, it's a dungeon crawler like Diablo or Gauntlet. I'm like, Gauntlet? Because I'm just like, man, I guess it's a dungeon crawler, but man, that's a surprising pull for you.
It's distinctly possible I'm thinking of a different game, but
Well, I think there was like a 3D one. I think it came out in 64 era that could have ended up on like
that sounds about right.
Dreamcast or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it had to be Dreamcast because that is the friend that I played Phantasy Star with. In it was a little post-college for me, so kind of late 90s.
Okay, yeah, checks out.
The math works on that.
I'm just imagining you in the arcade just hunched over a gauntlet machine. Just be like,
no.
What is going on here?
Nope, not that experience, no. Yeah, so...
sorry, completely derailed.
Yeah, I don't remember what my other point is here, but it's a lot of fun. It's beautiful for one. The whole world is made out of Minecraft blocks, and with character development, it does the thing that I love in RPGs, where if you buy a cool
I know where this is going.
Or a coat or a suit of armor that does a thing, it's represented on your character.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a fan of dress up in RPGs, and Minecraft does dress up really well. You'll find like, bear armor or something like that, and it will take my little kind of white-haired professor looking dude with the big bushy beard and put like a bear head mask on him, and you get sort of like super speedy boots, so then you're like bear head mask guy with giant stompy boots, and so you can continue to upgrade those things over time and get new versions of them over time, and then you can start enchanting them later, which gives them even more abilities and stuff like that. But all of those changes are visible on your character, which I think, one sort of certainly taps into kind of the Fortnite furor of sort of making it yours. But I dig that in an RPG. I was disappointed in playing other Dragon Quest games to find out that wasn't a standard in Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
That 9 did that really, really well. But as I played other Dragon Quest games, that's not a thing that game series does all the time. So yeah, I like dress up.
Man, you would be into Diablo then, because they do that.
Is there a lot of that in there?
Yeah, there are a lot of cases where I was like, oh man, I got this cool cloak, and you can like dye it different colors.
Oh, cool.
So, I had this whole look going for me, and then I found a better piece of equipment that just didn't look as good. It's like, what's more important in this case, like the big numbers, or do I want to just have this cool cape? I don't know.
Aesthetics.
Yeah. Eventually they changed it so you can just make any piece of gear look like any other piece of gear, more or less. So it's like, oh cool. This is what I want.
So if you find a look you like, you can sort of like ape the abilities of another piece.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. That's smart.
Yeah, super good. I don't know if they have that in Minecraft, but it seems like it would be a cool thing.
Yeah. I don't know that exists in Minecraft, but if it doesn't, it should. So I'm having fun with this. It is it's a nice other thing. It's not story heavy by any stretch. It really is just sort of hopping into a weird sort of conveyor belt of trudging through the forest, trudging through the woods, stomping up the stream or whatever, and finding little missions that pop up where there's sort of like, these monsters have kidnapped 10 villagers and are holding them hostage. So you have to sort of stomp through the woods and find the little like enchanted cages that the villagers are in, and you sort of let them out and they run away. And meanwhile, you're being set upon by archers on high and shambling little zombies. And there are, of course, the creepers from Minecraft, which will sneak up behind you and explode. It's a lot, and again, as you get further and further into the thing, it just continues to throw all of these very aggressive enemies at you, and hope that you have friends handy to help you sort of thin the herd a little bit, while one of you at least works on solving some of these objectives that have come your way. I've not been able to find co-op partners yet, unfortunately, so I've been kind of soloing it, but I'm just about at the end of my ability. I think I'm starting to get a little frustrated with it. But it's fun. It's a good time.
Nice. That sounds cool. Like I said, I have to check out every Diablo style game at some point. So I feel like this is on the list. Yeah,
it is. I think it does something interesting that the Mario and Rabbids game did a couple years ago. It sort of functioned, Mario and Rabbids sort of functioned as this kind of like XCOM light, this sort of like baby's first tactical turn-based strategy game. But like the further you got into the Mario and Rabbids game, the more you were like, holy shit, there's a really hardcore tactical strategy RPG here. And it's super compelling. I think Minecraft Dungeons does the same thing, that like in the early levels of it, it's really, again, I can imagine sort of a parent playing this with their kids and trudging through the woods, and you know, the kid sort of like shooting arrows at the zombies while dad unlocks the cages the villagers are trapped in. It's kind of fun in that, again, it sort of slowly teaches you kind of how to upgrade your weapons and upgrade your armor, and kind of lays these things on you at a pretty kind of incremental pace, so that if you're a kid or a parent, I guess, who doesn't have a lot of experiences like this, you can learn to play along over time. Minecraft Dungeons, I think, has done that pretty astutely. It's sort of it is a surprisingly deceptively complex and difficult, occasionally, dungeon crawler, disguised as a fun and lighthearted kind of Minecraft romp.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. Is there enough of kind of a loot grind to keep you going? Is that the primary motivation, or are you just trying to get through the story?
That has been my biggest motivation for going back and replaying a few of the levels.
Okay.
Like I said, I'll see like hidden paths and stuff like that, but a lot of times too, it's sort of like, geez, I'm really getting my ass handed to me. Maybe I need to go back and grindy a little bit. So I'll go back and I'll pick a level that I had fun with, or that I knew that there was some pathway I didn't go down, or an objective I didn't complete, and trigger that one again and go explore a little further and make sure I sort of 100% my goals and objectives. And yeah. So yeah, there is some grindiness built into it, but again, I think this is a game that is sort of designed to be replayed. There are is a sort of an interesting sort of strategy to this for $20. And the interesting thing about this is that sort of Microsoft now owns Mojang, the company that makes Minecraft games. But Microsoft is publishing this on other platforms, so you can play it on PS4, you can play it on the Switch, you can play it on, I'm playing it on my Xbox One, it's also on PC, $20 in the door, you get all 9 levels, and you can play as much as you want with that, and for an additional $10 later on, I believe there are 3 new kind of fire-themed levels, and 3 new, like, ice-themed levels that are being released, so you can
I didn't know
upgrade
about
later.
That part.
Yeah. Or you can buy kind of the ultimate pass now for $30 all in. You get everything they're putting out. So there's kind of an interesting kind of like I sort of pricing tiered to this thing, in that it doesn't cost a lot of money to kind of get into the party. So I'm sort of keep waiting for them to kind of want to charge me to buy things.
Yeah, that's nice that it has such a low price of entry.
Yeah.
That's for one, like you don't pay $20 and you get it on all platforms, right? It's like per platform.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and no crossplay at this point. Yeah.
Pretty reasonable.
Yeah. The you and I, DJ, and I have been sort of talking offline about trying to play together, but can't seem to sort of sync up on what platform to play on because he doesn't have an Xbox.
Should have bought that Xbox.
Should have got exactly. It'll solve this problem. But the devs have said that they want eventually to kind of unlock cross-platform play, but it wasn't ready for day one yet.
That's super good. Yeah. As far as I know, like the latest version of Minecraft is cross-platform or cross like a crazy number of platforms. So it's kind of disappointing that it's a little bit of a step backwards for like a new Minecraft thing to not be cross-platform. But as long as it will be eventually, it'll be nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good time. I think the thing that I would sort of warn people is if you have people in your life, kids in your life that are very excited about the new Minecraft, be forewarned that it's going to be a very different experience from sort of the traditional Minecraft thing that maybe your kiddo or your husband or your wife is accustomed to. It's definitely not that experience. You're not crafting any mines.
Not necessarily the like pseudo educational, like parent approved thing that they let their kids play with. You're just going in and slaughtering monsters.
Right.
Left and right.
Yeah. This is not just like playing with Legos. This is yeah, there's a whole other thing.
So you really don't do any building in this. That's a little, I mean, does it show up in any form? Like, do you ever have to knock down a wall or something? I'm just trying to imagine what they could have added in.
I don't think so. No, there are like these kind of glowy walls that you kind of go into like crypts and stuff like that, but like you don't have to pick up a pickaxe to hammer through it or anything like that. There seems to be sort of a maybe a deliberate attempt to not make it a Minecraft game.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
Save that for the Minecraft Battle Royale shooter.
Right. Listen, you want to craft mines? There is a game for that. If you want
Yeah, right. Yeah, we have another game where you can do exactly all that stuff.
If you want to roll through dungeons and take out bad guys and maybe save some villagers from a horrible fate, then this could be a fun thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, sort of shout out to Microsoft for dropping this on Game Pass on day one, because this is not a thing that I would sort of watch the trailer for or learn about on the internet and go, I must play Minecraft Dungeons the week it comes out. But kudos to one of our Discord participants for going, hey, this new game that just came out today is on the Game Pass if somebody wants to check it out. And I've kind of kept going back to it for the last couple of weeks because it's a lot of fun.
That's crazy. Like they do this a lot with new releases now, I feel like, right? They just put them on the Game Pass.
I don't know how they get their money back on that.
I guess I heard it was like 10 million Game Pass subscriptions? That seems like a lot.
Oof.
At least 1 million. It was like either 1 million or 10 million. A million doesn't sound like enough, and 10 million sounds like a lot.
Sounds like some science fiction number, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, they're making some money on that thing.
Well, good. Cool. It has gotten me to continue to extend my membership throughout the summer here. I re-upped because I had a period ahead of me where I was going to be unemployed, and I'm like, why not? I can sort of, plow through some of the fun games that are on this thing. And I was going to let it lapse here, and then Minecraft came out, and I was like, well, maybe just one more month.
Yeah. I think, that's the plan. That's their goal.
Yeah. Keep kind of like drip feeding cool games that I can't walk away from.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm still planning on I want to get back on that even if it's just for a month, just to check out all the new stuff, including Minecraft, but whatever the big thing was like a couple months ago, maybe Gears. But
Gears. I mean, every Gears is in there.
Yeah. I think that was going to be like
2 just came out for Game Pass.
That is absurd. Like they're probably still selling copies of that.
Undoubtedly. Yeah.
Probably for a lot more than $10 a month or however much it is.
Yeah. It's like 15 if you want sort of the combo pass that gets you live as well.
Oh, well, I mean, of course you want the combo pass.
Right. Yeah, you gotta
play Minecraft by yourself. That's no fun.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have been. So that $5 is a little wasted, but I'm going to need friends at some point.
Yeah. Faced with just an endless buffet of video games, though, I'm just like, oh my God, is this what I really need at this exact moment? Like, I've still got Animal Crossing going on. So.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of
it is a tough day when like all of these things hit my checking account at the same time. I get sort of the Xbox hit, and then I get the monthly Xbox hit, and I get the Hulu hit, and I get the Netflix, and I'm like, all right, guys, man, I need to maybe roll out of some of these. This is a little too much.
I try and keep like a certain number of subscriptions going at the same time. So if I like start up a new one, I have to cancel one of the other ones, because odds are I probably wasn't using that other one that much anyway. So
probably a good strategy. Yep.
I don't know what I would drop with this one.
I dropped my my sort of justification for this was I dropped my satellite radio because that was $10-11 a month, and that was only in my car.
Oh yeah, well, good call.
And I'm not driving anywhere right now, so I was like, maybe I can just put all that $10 into the Game Pass, and that is how this has gone. Sort of,
you know what I did drop is paying for gas. That saves me quite a bit of money now.
Yeah. I had a company car, so I didn't really have that problem, but
okay.
I sympathize with you. Yeah.
Just like, not only just gasoline, but doing anything outside of the home, really. Just like, don't pay a lot for that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just subscribe to all these things.
I feel like Sarah and I have this conversation like every 2-3 weeks where she's like, I don't know why I have so much money in my checking account. And I'm like, because we don't do anything. We don't go anywhere. We can't go to restaurants. We haven't been to a concert in 4 months.
Oh, I love looking at my checking account now. It's an entirely different experience than it was like 6 months ago. I was just like, before I was like, oh, what's going on? And now I'm like, oh, who am I?
Right.
It's great.
Exactly. I'm the richest man in the world.
Right. Nobody has seen this much money before. Okay, well, you talked me into it. I should just do Game Pass for the rest of my life. Just get the lifetime sub right now. Well, I'm not thinking clearly.
Do it, TJ.
All right, get right on it.
Who would have thought I would have been the shill for Microsoft products on the show?
I know what's going on.
Yep. Now you can stop texting and emailing me about leaving Xbox out of the show.
Speaking of lifetime subscriptions, it's time for our quarterly check-in with the world of Final Fantasy XIV.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, moment of silence. It came out last week that they have canceled the North American Fan Festival this year.
Ah,
Very sad. Not actually canceled it. They just postponed it until 2021, until all this stuff kind of blows over. So very sad, but there's still hope. There's still stuff to look forward to. So it's kind of a lull in the game right now because the development has been a little bit delayed because of all the stuff going on. Everybody's working from home. It's actually been kind of interesting hearing a lot of the stories pop up around the game development because generally the producers are pretty transparent about what's going on in the development world. Much more so than any other game I can remember playing. It's like they don't tell us everything, but they will check in pretty regularly and just be like, hey, here's stuff that's coming up in the next few months. Here's like some issues we're running into. It's kind of surprising to see, but it's pretty cool at the same time.
Yeah, it is rare still in the games industry. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of illusion of control over like nuggets of information and things like that. So it's always kind of exciting or refreshing when you meet devs or find devs that are a little more transparent.
Yeah. What's especially interesting is that I guess it's just not common for people in Japan, or at least in the Japanese gaming industry, to do remote work. And I guess a lot of that, there's security issues with your, sending stuff back and forth over a network.
Sure.
So, people are used to going into the office. They don't usually work at home. And they said they also had kind of difficulty transitioning everybody to be able to work from home because it's, if you live in a Japanese apartment, which tends to be on the smaller side, it's tough to fit in like a very high-powered and noisy and hot development workstation into some of these people's homes. So they spent a few weeks, they said, just like not really working on the game and trying to transition everybody to be able to do that. So they could work on the game. It's like, oh man.
So it's not just a matter of sending people home with a laptop.
Right. I mean, I imagine they could send some people home, but not everybody.
The social media guy gets a laptop.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. It's been interesting hearing about that, but it's been kind of a content lull. Like nothing is slated to come out for the next couple months. So I've been biding my time just looking at some of the older stuff in the game that I've kind of neglected, not really had the time to focus on. And one of these things is you may remember, you probably don't remember what this is. Several years ago, I talked about this mode in the game called Eureka, which is essentially like a smaller MMO within Final Fantasy XIV.
What?
It's very weird. It's very meta. It has its like own separate leveling and experience system. It takes place on a completely separate map than all the rest of the game. And it has like its own weird rules that are supposed to feel more like playing a more old school classic MMO, like EverQuest or like Final Fantasy XI, perhaps. And if you remember when I talked about this before, I hated this thing because it was just the epitome of kind of mindless, grindy content. People will go in there and just be like, hey, you want to spend the next 3 hours just killing the same monster over and over again? And maybe we'll get lucky and a boss monster will spawn. And then we can kill that thing, get back to killing like the minions for another few hours. And it's like, this is the worst. I don't know how anybody enjoyed this. If this is what old MMOs were like, then I'm glad I wasn't there. They've made a lot of improvements in the last few years.
Oh, wow.
So I was like half avoiding this thing and just also begrudgingly doing it because it was just a thing to do at the time. But as soon as I was done with it, I was out of there. I was just like, never looking back on this place. But the catch was, at the end of this thing, they released this Eureka content over probably about a year's span in several parts. And at the end of it all, once you finally completed it, there was this thing called the Baldesion Arsenal, which they kind of touted as a public dungeon, or it was basically just a big raid dungeon. But what was crazy about it is that like up until this point, the largest raid you can do in Final Fantasy XIV was 24 people. And this new thing, the Baldesion Arsenal, was 56 players at one time would all go into this thing and try and take down these dungeon bosses. And on top of that, it was extremely convoluted just to get in there, because you had to like get everybody organized. You had to go into the final area of this Eureka and kill a very specific boss, and then a bunch of like weird portals would spawn. There are a bunch of rules about how everybody was able to enter the portals. And it kind of like, it's at this point I started looking at this thing and started thinking, man, if this is what they're trying to do, if they're really trying to just bring back that old school feeling of playing MMOs like 10 years ago, this kind of feels like it. This feels like we're getting a little glimpse of what that was like. Because I've heard stories of people trying to organize like a World of Warcraft raiding party that had like 40 people in it. And like half the challenge, it sounded like, was just getting these people to commit to one night a week when they could all sit down for however long it took and run this thing. Because can you imagine just trying to get 40 people's calendars to line up? It's like a nightmare.
I can't get 3 friends to play Minecraft with me, DJ.
Imagine just like, 56 version of Minecraft dungeons. You need to have all 56 people in there.
Oh, God.
So, and on top of that, so going back to the old school MMO thing, so it's just very convoluted, very difficult, very unforgiving, like bosses that could kill you in one hit. And also, if you die, they made it very difficult for you to get revived. Because normally somebody just cast a spell and you come back to life, but not in the Baldesion Arsenal. You're kind of left on your own unless somebody does another convoluted thing to bring you back to life. But it was just pretty discouraged. They were like, you should really know what you're doing getting into this thing. So the fact that all of this stuff made it very intimidating to make an attempt, and the fact that it was connected to this Eureka thing, which I wanted nothing to do with, I was just like, well, that sounds kind of cool, and like the rewards are kind of cool, but this seems like a lot of effort. And I know I'm just going to be the guy who runs in and is like, how does this work? And I get one-shotted by the first boss, and there's just this dead body on the floor for the rest of the run. Everybody is just like, well, that guy was a waste of space in this party. So I just kind of ignored it for 2 years until there's nothing else to do in this game. And I started looking back at it again. I was like, remember that thing? So I kind of spent like, so I've been looking into it. And it turns out, just like everything else at this point in gaming, there is a dedicated Discord to people who love to run the Baldesion Arsenal. So it's like, oh, okay, I'll look into this thing. So I hopped in there, and there's just like, they got all the like the guides and the tutorial videos, but most of all, they have this. They've got it down to like a science, like getting into this thing, which is like one of the real hurdles, really. Like you join the Discord and you just talk to their bot, and the bot will queue you up. And when everybody, like all 56 or 48 or however many initial people are required, are present, the bot will just like start messaging people and be like, all right, you've been assigned to a group. We're all going in. We're going to grab one of those portals, and then we're all going to go into the arsenal and do this thing. It's very like, it's impressively organized. It's one of the, It's like surprised that people got it to this point where it is just almost fully automated. But then the most mind-blowing thing about this thing is once we're inside, so I'm on the Discord, and I'm just like, all right, what's going on? How does this work? I've read some guides beforehand, so I like don't get killed immediately by all the bosses. I kind of know what to expect. But they're like, all right, so-and-so is going to be your raid leader. And I'm like, oh, I've heard about this. I know there's like, usually this one guy calling all the shots during the raid, and he's the only one who's allowed to speak on voice chat. And this guy gets on the mic, and he's like introduces himself and starts talking about how the arsenal is going to work. And he basically just sounds like a flight attendant going through like the safety check before the plane takes off. And he's like leading this group of like 40 or 50 people through the halls of this dungeon and just making out these explanations like, don't step there. There might be a trap there. Just stay on the right side of this hallway as we make your way down this whole thing.
Passengers on the right side of the dungeon. We'll see.
No, that's it. Like exactly it. Like we get to the first boss, and he's like, "All right, we stopped here. You will see in front of you the first boss. His name is so and so, and I will now begin a brief explanation of all the mechanics we're going to see during this boss fight." And I'm just like, who is this guy? Is he getting paid for this? This is the most unbelievable thing that I've experienced in this game, because clearly. Wow. Like, this content has existed for several years at this point. This is not the first time he's done this. I have no idea. This could be like the several hundredth time he's been through this, giving this exact same kind of tour guide routine. But it is just amazing, and I'm like entranced the entire way through. Like, the battle starts, and he just continues these ridiculous call-outs just in the calmest way. Like, people are getting slaughtered left and right because they're like things exploding, and like nobody, like clearly some people have not watched the guide. They're like, should I stand here? No. But he just like obviously has a script in his head that he's just going off of as, bodies are falling all around him. It is unbelievable. It's super surreal. But thanks to this guy, our group made it through the entire thing mostly incident free. Like, there are a few people who got murdered along the way. We were able to save some of them, but we did it.
Good.
It was a weird mix of just being very we were still pretty anxious doing this thing because of just its reputation of being very unforgiving and fairly unlike any other content in the game. But also the fact that there was this very cheerful guy just being like, okay, now do this. Oh, don't touch the wall of the arena because it's electrified. And just basically guiding people through moment to moment. It was really amazing.
But helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was just like having, I don't know.
Just you're not condescending to this guy.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, this is one of the most amazing experiences I've had playing this game. Just having this guy holding everybody's hand, and being like, "Now we're going this way. Don't go that way."
Does everyone have their buddy? Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I love it.
Yeah. So now I'm just super addicted to it. I want to be like, maybe we'll do it again next week. That'd be great. see if we can get a different caller. I want to see what everybody's different style is like. Oh, but it was so good. So shout out to the Baldesion Arsenal Discord on the Ether data center, because just really incredible. Just still so impressed that they're able to wrangle all these people together to some measure of success every time.
Excellent. And then create sort of a routine to kind of keep them alive as long as possible.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I seriously wonder how many times this guy has done this exact thing. Like, he probably doesn't even need to read out the script at some point. Or this point.
Right. Excellent. I need a tour guide to difficult video games. That would be a very advantageous thing. Somebody should make that happen.
What game do you need a tour guide for? Because odds are there's somebody doing that.
It exists out there someplace.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
If not, you could probably just find somebody, start a business out of it. Not even a business, just start a Discord, guided tours through level 9 in Minecraft dungeons or whatever.
Yeah. This so the thing that pops into my brain is the kind of the first time I played Destiny, and I have sort of, again, very limited experience with sort of that type of game. I was sort of wandering around the hub world and, trying to sort of do some little scrub missions out in the field and get some good armor and maybe buy a nice cheap gun. And then I was going to start my very first real, go behind the scary door and beat the big monster kind of mission. And I was terrified. And I roll up on the front gate of this thing, and there was just a dude kind of leaning against the wall going, "Are you going in? I'll go in with you." And I was like, "Yeah,
nice.
Let's go in." Yeah.
Oh, so wholesome.
Yeah, totally. And, I was level 2 and he was level 49 or some shit like that. And, would occasionally call out good tips and pick me up when I fell down. And, basically more or less got through that experience because of Random Stranger number 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. I don't know too much about the Destiny community, but I'm glad to hear that there's at least some of that stuff happening.
He was, and I suspect there's not a mechanic for this in the game, but I have this mental image of him just sort of leaning against the door, like smoking a cigarette with his foot up, going, "You want to go in together?" Yeah. and I took him up on it. It was great. So yeah, I don't know if that dude is still hanging out in that game, waiting for newbies to come rolling through to back up. But if that was his thing, he kept me alive that day.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I've noticed this kind of popping up in other games, like in Monster Hunter World. They will do, first of all, they'll organize stuff on social media, like through the official Monster Hunter account, where it's like, I forget which day of the week it is, but they'll be like, today we're taking, newbie hunters through these quests and blah, blah, blah. But also with the last few special events, like the seasonal events, there have been quests that, how does it work? It gives you a greater chance of getting like the most exclusive rewards, like the very special rewards that you want, if you actually seek out lower level hunters and help them with their quest.
Oh, cool.
Which was like, wow, it's rare that I've seen games like go out of their way to incentivize that as explicitly as they do in these seasonal events, which I thought was very cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's good. It balances out a little of the, toxicity that gaming communities are kind of have that reputation of having.
Yeah. Or just the nerves. I mean, I imagine sort of this Call of Duty experience is, like you said, me sort of spawning into the world going, all right, what do I do? And then just dying from a headshot immediately.
Like, this guy.
Yeah. So I need somebody who's going to, rally the resources to keep me alive for a little while until I sort of get my sea legs at the very least.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, good. It's Final Fantasy, man, is the gift that keeps on giving, TJ.
It is. Yeah. It better be. Yeah. No, I was so glad that I was finally able to experience this weird, piece of the game that I had not really explored before.
Cool. So we got a little bit of time left. What can you tell us about this very short game with a very long title?
Yeah, so this game, A Solitary Spacecraft, I got wind of this through another podcast recently. It is, it's very brief. It's a game that came out recently. It's actually about the current global pandemic, which is like, it's like, just to throw it out there, it's not like the most uplifting game. Just because of, the subject matter. It's not like dire or anything. It's not all doom and gloom, but just because it is about like real world events happening that are pretty sensational or extraordinary, it is it has kind of its own weird atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So just kind of know that going in. If you're you're already mentally overloaded in dealing with the stuff, maybe you don't need more of it at this point.
Right.
But it's a short game. I think it's worthwhile. It's an interesting experience. So basically, it is about somebody just living through this pandemic, and it's not like a fictional like parallel pandemic in some imaginary world. They are just a person living through this actual pandemic taking place in 2020. It starts out and you're in this guy's apartment. It's very simple, like visuals and everything. It's just a little stick figure on a black screen. With like living in an apartment full of kind of like line art pixel furniture, and he's like, day 0, I set up a chat server with some of my friends so we could keep in touch, just in case things get out of hand or whatever. And then immediately from there, it just launches into kind of a semi-regular log of what this guy is dealing with, just waking up in the, like, I guess just the world that we live in now.
Right.
So he will like get up and every day, it's not, you don't play like day 1, 2, 3. It's like it jumps around a little bit. There's quite a bit of time between each check-in actually, but there'll be a different number of things you can interact with in your apartment, and then you get the guy's reaction to, or just his thoughts on what is happening. And then inevitably at some point you go over and check the computer to check on the little Discord server he set up, essentially. And you hear conversations with this guy's friends who are, I guess, based on actual conversations that he's had. So it's like very much mirrors. It's kind of like autobiographical, this game. Mm-hmm. And the weirdest thing about it is that just a lot of these conversations and a lot of even just the thoughts that he's having as he like looks around the rest of the apartment, or he's watching TV, or just looking at all the empty bottles on the counter or whatever. They like a lot of them are just very similar to actual conversations that I have had, whether it's through just talking to people about what's going on, how they're adapting to being in isolation or all that stuff. There's a lot of good humorous moments about sort of the realizations people are having, adjusting, where they're like, oh man, I'm suddenly aware of how much trash I generate on a daily basis, as I just am the only one living in my apartment. Or people are like, oh, check out this cool new recipe I found online. Everybody jumps on it. But it's very meditative. It's very kind of like very interesting to play a game like this that is so relevant as happening right now. Very unique.
Huh. Man, it's like a speedy turnaround on something like this to be able to sort of like, because I mean, arguably we're still in it, right? I mean, so
yeah,
to be able to kind of like process, extrapolate sort of the bones of a story or a narrative or the description of an experience at the very least, and then to build a video game around it and release it to the world while this thing is still, upon us, is impressive. Is an impressive feat of video game making.
Yeah. It's funny because, I've heard a lot of people saying like, well, I wonder when we'll see the first piece of media to come out that addresses this thing, or whether we'll see the first video game that comes out that talks about the pandemic or whatever. Right. And then here comes this thing, like somebody did it. So it's actually like, I'm glad it's not. I've heard people saying like, oh man, I can't wait for the 2025 Michael Bay movie based around this pandemic, because that's just going to be like a total garbage fire. But this I thought was, it's very thoughtful and considered, and depending on how much more pandemic you can handle in your life, it's definitely worth checking out. If you just have a few minutes, it's not very long at all.
Neat. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. It is currently free on itch.io. It's called A Solitary Spacecraft. Or if you want to Google that longer title, it will be in the show post.
Cool.
Good but fun, yeah, definitely worth checking out. It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not fun, but it was definitely an interesting way to spend like 10 or 15 minutes.
It's the feel-good hit of the year.
Yeah. Not quite.
No. Cool. All right. Well, that's it, right? That's all the games we promised.
That's it.
That's enough.
Yeah. Last chance to talk about The Last of Us 2.
I'm good, thank you. Save it for a couple weeks. I will have all kinds of things to say about Last of Us 2.
All right.
In the meantime, if you need any more video game hangover in your brain, please follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. You can always get show notes, links, and tell us your thoughts about this very episode at VGHangover.com as well. We would encourage you to join our Discord. We have a lot of really good conversation about games, the state of the world, the state of our psyches, the state of movies we're watching. And yeah, so it tends to ramble a little bit. It's not just video gamey stuff, but it's cool. It is a room full of people with interesting things to talk about.
Yeah. Plus, if you got turnips you need to unload, there's a whole Animal Crossing channel that is just turnip updates 24/7. So pretty much guaranteed to, have a little windfall every week.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yep. It sort of fluctuates from between turnips to going to, does anybody have an iron desk? I need an iron desk. Who can make me an iron desk? Yeah. But yeah, if you want to get on any of that stuff, definitely go to VGHangover.com to get the link to our Discord.
Yeah. Hope to see you in there.
We would encourage you to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you can get podcasts. And most importantly, probably the thing that makes the biggest difference is tell your friends about us.
Yes. Tell them about the show. Tell them to listen if they're into video game podcasts. Or if they just have some turnips to sell, point them in the right direction.
Yep, exactly. We'll take them, absolutely. All right, we'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover.